Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Life Lessons with Scott and Friends. And my, I guess I'll call you my usual suspects on the podcast here. But Clayton and Ryan join me again. We just finished up, I don't know, I hate to call them parts, but we just had a discussion and want to dive right into kind of continuing the conversation. We were talking about time management and what that means to spend time with the wife, spend time with the kids, to be full time in our jobs and our careers, but also to make sure we're working in conjunction with our wives to help raise the kids. So as we start this episode, I'd be curious as is there anything, I know we don't have it all figured out, and where we get into patterns or we feel good about, hey, we're doing this and we're doing that for a couple months, and then we fall out, something happens at work and whatever. But what are some things that you as men, husbands, dads, are there any things that you guys, are really committed to, or you find that has worked for you to kind of keep that balance of being a husband, a dad, and also working full-time jobs? Just any thoughts along those lines?
Yeah,
Ryan, you got the secret?
I don't have this. I don't have the secret, but I'll jump in off of kind of something that you had hit on one of our earlier sessions, and that's that taking that time out individually, with your kids, with your spouse. We don't have a dedicated, date night. I mean, some people will carve out, every Friday or every other Wednesday or whatever. They'll have like a defined, date. And as we've all discussed here, we're not really that big of planners when it comes to that. But what has helped us is, we do make sure that not only do, Lori and I go out, once a week, twice a week, a couple times a month, whatever it is, we go out, just us, just our time. We'll go, go up to a restaurant, sometimes just up to, a Baskin Robbins or Dairy Queen or something, and just sit in the parking lot, kind of talk, kind of situation, but just get us away from the situation. Same thing with our kids. We kind of the cheesy, you can call it, daddy daughter dates or father son time or whatever you want to name it, but just giving them that dedicated time with you. I mean, they get just as much out of it as we do, just spending that one-on-one time with them, letting them talk. They may not even talk, but just being with us and letting them know that, okay, no, you've got my undivided attention. I'm not going to be on my phone. I'm not, of course, snapping pictures every now and then, because I know I'm bad about that, because I do try to capture that moment. But the undivided attention of it's your time. Talk to me. What's going on?
Right.
And that's just that's worked well for us, and we really strive very hard to keep that going.
Yeah, and I'll say this because I know my wife is going to listen to this. Here, I'm the world's worst at planning activities with, whether it be my family or my wife. And my piece of advice to husbands out there, especially younger husbands or younger couples, or especially to the men, sorry, surprise your wife and plan things. Don't let her be the only one that plans. Again, I'm the world's worst at this. I don't do it enough, and I know it would make my wife extremely thrilled if I called her on a Monday and said, hey, I got plans for us for Friday night. We're doing X. I don't do that well.
Right.
And that needs to change. I know it needs to change, but I could tell you, if you could work on that from a marriage standpoint, it'll help that out tremendously. So, Ginger and I guess the other thing I want to back up to was, yes, date your spouse, but it's hard when you have young kids. It gets very difficult. Babysitters, what do I do with them? Do I take them with me? Now that our kids are getting older, it's a lot easier for us just to leave. Now, I'll throw a caveat on there. We have a mother-in-law that lives, our Ginger's mom lives with us. We don't use her as a babysitter. That's not her role in this household. she's happy to help and she's happy to do things, which is great. It's very helpful for us. But we don't see her as, we don't want to leave the kids with her as babysitter. But anyway, I say that to say our kids are old enough now, we can leave them at home alone. We can go out on our own. And we use time as just, we go grocery shopping every Sunday, really for the last year or so now. It's just been a tradition, 2:00. We're gone for 3 hours. And we use grocery shopping as our fun time. We banter at each other. We joke throughout the grocery. We got people at the grocery store looking at us like, who are these crazy kids? I mean, we were playing grab ass in the middle of Publix on Sunday, and people were looking at me, and Ginger's just laughing. I'm just laughing. And we actually have fun doing it. I mean, grocery shopping, it's not supposed to be fun. We have fun with it.
Yeah.
So, no, that's not going to the Ritz-Carlton and having a nice dinner and spending the night there. No, it's not. But that is still quality time that I have with just Ginger and I. And it's really kind of helped us out a lot. Again, but it helps that our kids are older.
Right.
It helps that we are able to have that balance. But, going back to your question more specifically, balancing work and family time is very difficult. I think Ryan talked about it earlier, not letting work run your life. I unfortunately have a very long commute both ways. It takes up a lot of my day, plus, your normal 8, 9, 10, whatever hour workday that I do. I'm gone for 13 hours, 14 hours a day. And it makes it very difficult when I get home, at 7:00 at night, and I only see the kids for an hour or so at night, maybe 2, if they're doing homework or they want to go to their room and watch their TV or go wherever and get on social media. So I have very little time with my kids during the week. So I have to focus then on the weekends and try to take as much time as I can during the weekend with them, whether it be activities. So it is a constant juggle. It is a constant struggle. I mean, both. So you have to, as a man, learn how to balance that and not be too prideful where I'm the man of the house. I'm the breadwinner. If you are the breadwinner, maybe you're not. I don't know. But that doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is that you're a team with your family and you're with your wife. And if you can get that mindset out of your head and get that pridefulness out of your head that, I do all this, I'm spending all this time to make money to provide for you, which I've struggled with. I've had that same mindset before. Get rid of that mindset and look at it as a team. And yeah, I may make all the money in the family, but my wife earns just as much money as I do. I mean, or take half my money, give it to her, because she works just as hard as I do. 100%. I couldn't do it. I couldn't stay home. No. It wouldn't happen. I would be terrible at it.
No.
So you have to respect what each other are doing. And as a man, that can be very difficult to respect your wife sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's changing now with again, I'm not saying this the wrong way, but women's rights and the whole world is changing on how we were equal. Back in the 50s and 40s or whatever, the man was the man of the house and the woman's servanthood and all that. That doesn't happen now,
No.
and nor is it going to happen.
Yeah.
But I guess my point is, don't let that happen. Don't feel that you can't help out in the house. You can't do the dishes. You can't do the laundry. Come on, guys. This is a different time we're in now. Mm-hmm. Step up to the plate, help out. Sorry, I rambled.
Yeah, that's okay. A couple of things that you touched on that really resonate as I think back, and especially for young guys, whatever time you have to spend with your spouse and our kids, it needs to be about quality. Mm-hmm. Both of you guys have mentioned that, and for myself, it took several years to learn that concept. When I'm with you, I'm with you. Ryan, you talked about putting the phone down. Yeah, you take a selfie or you take a snapshot or whatever, but the rest of the time you're engaged in that moment. Be present. So many times early on, yeah, I would be home, but I wasn't there. My mind was at work. It was on this project. It was on this deadline, whatever it might be. I wasn't present with my wife or my kids. And once I learned how to be present, and it may be 10 minutes of quality time, well, you know what? Make sure those 10 minutes count for something. As you and as your kids get older, and you and your wife figure out how to work together and do whatever, those times they usually expand. So now if it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, make sure it's about the quality of the time you spend. That would be the number one advice I would give as you go through your marriage and raising your kids. Whatever time you have, make sure it's about quality. Don't wait 4 or 5 years into the marriage before you get that early, and man, you'll save yourself a lot of headache, and your kids will appreciate, and your wife will appreciate that effort of knowing that, hey, dad's here or my husband's here, and it's about me in that moment. So yeah, good word for both of you guys. Anything else on that?
Well, it's been kind of on my heart a little bit too. I mean, and then some people, I get it why they do this, but I guess from a men's standpoint, when they have sons, just be careful about trying to live vicariously through your kids.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with your kids mimicking you and trying to be like you, but I just warn you not to force it on them. You know, some parents just want to have their kid be just like them, sit next to them on the couch, watch a football game, and just grunt. But not all kids are going to be like that. Your son or even your daughter, wherever it may be, it's not going to be you. They're not a little you. They're not a mini me. And just be careful trying to force things on them. And again, I don't want to say don't do that, because sometimes that works great.
Right.
But just be mindful that your child at whatever age is going to be their own person. Eventually they're going to grow into their own person. So be careful about stifling that and forcing your childhood that you want to relive or whatever it may be onto them. Just my little word to the wise.
No, that's a good word. You see it a lot with sports. You
Yeah.
see a lot of those dads praying, hoping that their kids will be the athlete they never were able to be, and that's seen too many bad stories on that front. But
Well, I don't think it's just sports. I mean,
No.
I think that's what you hear about a lot, but I'm a lawyer, my son's going to be a lawyer. I'm a doctor, my son's going to be a doctor.
Yep.
Why not let them choose for themselves? What if they resent you because you made them do something, and they go through life resenting their life because you forced something on them? Just keep that in mind. Not saying it's a bad thing that if you're a lawyer, they become a lawyer. That could be a great thing, but just let them make their own choice.
And Clayton, one thing, Scott, sorry to kind of take this conversation a little bit differently, but I think it's a perfect segue here is, not only doing that, for your child, but then also taking it to that next level of comparing each child to the other.
Sure.
First child could be, excellent in school. The next child starts struggling, and all of a sudden why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like your sister? And that's a very easy trap to fall into. And one thing that we, and I mean, quite honestly, we still struggle with that. We've got one academically, it just comes. The other, there's, I will call it a lack of motivation. That's not where she wants to be. She wants to be in the drama and the fine arts. That's her passion. And so trying to, I'll call it bite our tongues, because you don't want to be like, be like your brother, be like your sister, be like blah, blah, blah. Learning their personalities and go with that. So that's one thing kind of I'll throw out there as an add-on caution, that as your kids do grow, just be careful to realize that they're different. I mean, they are different people. And, not only do you not compare yourself to other people, don't compare your kids to each other. That can really, really cause some, some difficulties there.
Yeah, it's a great point because, especially when you have 3, 4 kids, it's like, it's real easy to do, and to fight that temptation going, why can't you be like,
Yep.
and the reason they can't be is because they're not.
It's a simple answer, right?
They're not. And as I find it interesting. I've had conversations with my kids over the last couple of weeks, and they're going to be on a couple of these podcasts. And one of the things they talked about was having the freedom, or the freedom, I guess, to be who they were, and that they were thankful for that. And so I think that's a great word. And part of that was we didn't compare. Now, certain things, behavior issues, that's, one of the kids recently said, we never even thought about acting up because we knew what the consequences were. Well, that goes across the board.
Yep.
And you don't have a choice in that. You aren't going to act a fool here or anytime. And so to a person, they've all brought that up over the years as they've gone into adulthood. But the freedom to be who they are, for me, I'll share this real quick. Kim was an avid swimmer, swam for years, and was doing really well. She was just coming into her own as a young swimmer, and I was excited because I'm starting to look ahead what might be. And then Kim decides and talks to me on the way home from swim practice that, you know what, I don't have a passion for this. Part of me was like, you're kidding, right? No, this is a joke. But then, however the conversation unfolded, I could see it wasn't there. I could have been that dad and been like, no, you're going. You weren't doing this, and but I didn't, and so thankful I didn't. She came back to swimming on her own, has been a swim coach, loves swimming today. And how much different might that have been if I had forced her to continue something that she didn't have a passion for? So whatever your kids' passions are, find those out and figure out a way to come alongside them in their passions, be their support, along those same lines of not comparing them. Help them define and grow and be their own person, would be my advice there. So.
Yeah, that's huge, Scott. And it's a fine line too. And it's one that I struggle with all the time, right? Because they're kids, and what they think that they're not enjoying, or what they think that they don't want to do, is it really truly something that they just don't want to do, or is it because they're bored and they, their minds are going somewhere else? And the reason I mention this is, again, I struggle with it all the time. So Preston, when he was, I don't know, we'll say 10 or 11, he started having an interest in baseball. I grew up playing baseball. I love baseball. I wish I could still play baseball. And so I got super excited. I'm like, yeah, he's interested in this. Let's go give it a shot. Played a year or two in rec ball. He didn't really seem to thoroughly enjoy it at all, and was like, Dad, I'm done. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm not going to push you. I'm not going to make you do something that I want you to do, similar to what Clayton was, talking about earlier. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. But then now, at 14, he's like, man, Dad, I wish you would have pushed me a little bit more, and I would have stuck with baseball because I really think I would have enjoyed it. And so it's that Lori and I have always talked about, as the kids were growing up, we're never going to quote unquote force them to do something. We want them to find their passion, and we want to help guide them and go along with that. But then the flip side comes to it is like, as parents, how much direction do we give them to say, okay, you need to try something, you need to do something, you need to stick it, and give it a go. So I know it's very long-winded, and I don't really know if I even asked the question or asked a question, but it's something that I do still struggle with, like, of, how much of it is a push to make them do something versus taking your foot off the gas and saying, okay, you gave it a shot, you didn't like it, let's try something else. That's
Well, I think, Ryan, the one thing I've done is kind of a mix of the two.
Mhm.
I all my kids have tried sports of some nature, except for Jetta. Well, no, I take that back. She was a cheerleader for a long time. When they get to the point where I feel like they've lost interest, I'll push a little. I mean, it's a gentle nudge to keep going, because I want to see if it's just they're being lazy.
Yep.
And they're not quite there yet, or if it's really truly not there. And so I think that's healthy, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And you probably done this too, but just, let's give it one more shot. Let's try one more year. And then if they don't have it, then it's okay to say we're done.
Yeah.
Then you shouldn't feel regretful of it all, because
Right.
you gave it some effort, a little effort, you gave a little push, they tried again and they didn't like it, then I think that at that point you're not pushing too hard, be done. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, Judah's he wanted to shoot, he wanted to go, he goes to Fidelis, and they have a shooting team, sporting clays. And part of it, I think, and he wanted to join the team, part of it was, okay, he's in 6th grade, he wants to be a big kid with a gun. Part of it was he knows that I like to go shoot, so he wanted to be with me and do something I was doing. So we tried it out, and I pushed, and he got scared and started not to like it. We kept at it. He finally actually shot 2 clays and was so thrilled. But then the next couple times he went back, he was so disengaged. And me as a man, as a father, I started getting upset. Okay, I bought you this gun, I bought all this equipment, I put all this time into it. You're going to keep going. Well, I looked in his eyes, and I've already pushed him a little bit on this whole thing. I looked in his eyes, and it wasn't there anymore. And I just said, okay, well, then why don't we just go out together? Instead of you trying to be on a team, you and I will just go shoot every once in a while. How about that? And so there's nothing wrong with putting a little bit of forcefulness into it, but knowing when to back off.
Yeah.
If that passion's not there, back off.
Yeah, we had 2 rules. You weren't going to sit at home. You were going to do something. So what do you want to sign up for? Because you're going to be active. And Ryan, I think you said earlier, each of the kids have one activity, and that's how we approached it with all 4 bars. They all had their own thing that they did: soccer, baseball, swimming, and ice skating. 4 wildly different activities, and but it was fun. But the other rule to that was, once you commit, you finish the season. You don't have a choice. You signed up, we're doing this, and your teammates are now counting on you. Your coach is now counting on you. And we had some good life lessons come from that. And as soon as the season was over, okay, you're done, that's fine. So that was kind of our 2 steadfast rules. You're going to be involved in something, and once you commit, you're in for the season. If you want to quit afterwards, that's fine. But all of what we've talked about, and Ryan and Clayton both, you guys alluded to knowing your kids, and you can't just do that unless you're intentional about spending quality time with your kids. That's how you know when to push. That's how you know when to back off. to engage and maybe bring up different things that maybe they're not thinking about. But it starts with us as dads being able to spend that quality time with them. And then the other part of that I would say is just conversation, because your wife has, that's the other thing I've learned over the years, is the conversations the kids have with my wife are much different than the conversations they have with me.
Very much so.
And it's kind of like, on some levels, I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, it's like, why don't they talk to me about that?
I do the same thing. Yeah.
And then Lisa will be like, you kidding? Okay, yeah, I get it. But that's been and it's developed even more over the years as they, are young adults now. I'll hear things from Lisa even today, that, well, I didn't hear about that. Well, that's why I'm telling you. Oh, okay. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
All right. Any other things as we wrap up another episode here?
I will just add, I mean, that the communication piece, I mean, we try so hard. I mean, we're obviously, with these podcasts, we're a very talky family, and so we try that, from very early on, get the kids, pick them up from school, daycare, whatever, how was your day? And it's like, well, it's fine. I was like, all right, well, let's change the narrative. Let's change the question. Instead of how was your day? Tell me what you enjoyed most about today. What did you not enjoy about today? What would you change if you could? What was the best part of your day? Kind of changing up the questions that you ask to avoid it was fine, it sucked, whatever, just the general questions. And so that's evolved to, over time, truly being able to have deeper dialogues with your kids, and that communication piece. I mean, we're so fortunate that, I feel like at any given time I could walk into any of their rooms or wherever they are and sit down, and we can have a very deep conversation, or we can just have a very, silly, conversation. And I think that they feel the same way with us, that no matter what we're doing, where we are, we could be on the middle of a phone call, we could be in the middle of this, and if something were to come up, they know that they can just come to us at any time and say, hey, I've got a problem. Hey, I need to talk to you about XYZ, and that we're not going to, flip a lid or blow a gasket or anything and go all over it with them. So that communication, man. I mean, I think we talked about that on the very first, one of our very first, episodes was about communication, and I just can't stress enough about how important that is.
All right, Clayton, last word.
You ready for teaser for next time?
Sure. I'm starting to anticipate and be excited about what you might come up with.
Sex.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm ready for that.
We got to dive into it at some point. It's part of parenting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know we got to get there at some point. So, wow.
Yeah.
It is a very important part of parenting and the marriage and all of that. So, yeah, let me weigh that one. I'll email you guys and let you know when that's on the docket.
All right, so let's talk. If you don't want to do that one yet, which that's fine. Anxiety.
Yeah.
Mental health issues with anxiety with kids.
Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah, which we can kind of dovetail that into another whole conversation of what sex brings to the anxiety of being a parent. So anyway, well, Ryan, Clayton, as always, I appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy night away from your family. I appreciate you guys both as men of God and the spiritual leaders of your house, and taking time just to share some nuggets and some thoughts about what your experiences have been like being husbands and dads. So again, I appreciate your time. And if you enjoy the podcast and you like what we're doing, be sure to like and share and tell your friends about what we're doing. And if you'd like to be a part and come on and share your own life lessons, I would love to have you be a guest on with us or with me. And you can hit me up in a private message. But until then, just share light. And until next time, peace. Take care.